Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'd like to show you or share with you the way I knit this beautiful stitch. This is honeycomb stitch, one of the variations of the honeycomb stitch. I had this beautiful yellow yarn, and I decided to try knit a sample of this stitch. So to begin, we need to cast on a multiple of 8 plus 2 stitches for the edges. So multiple of 8 plus 2 stitches, because this is a very thin yarn. I have here 50 stitches, so 48 for the multiple of 8 plus another 2. For the first row, this pattern actually starts on the wrong side of the work, and for row 1 all I'm going to do is slip the first one, as I always do that. I always slip my first stitch. Slip the first one and then purl all the stitches across. Just simple purls. I'm gonna purl all of them and I'm gonna knit my last one. So row 1, slip first one, purl to the last stitch, and then knit your last stitch, so the edges. I have reached the end of my row, so I'm gonna purl one and knit my last stitch for the edge. Turn your work around. Row number 2, very easy pattern. It's very easy and beautiful. For row number 2, I'm gonna slip again the first one, and then I'm gonna knit all the stitches. So row number 2, slip 1, knit all the stitches. Knitted all my stitches for row number 2. Next is row number 3, which is a wrong side row, and it's identical to row number 1. Slip the first one and purl across to the last stitch, which I'm going to knit. So purl all the stitches. Completed my row. Next is row number 4, which is a right side row, and now the pattern says I'm gonna slip the first one and then cable 4 to the front. Cable 4 to the front means we have to knit 2 stitches and then 2 stitches more, but we have to bring these first 2 stitches in front of the work and work the next 2 before these ones. So what I normally do, I'm just gonna swap them like this, pick them up, I hope you can see, and then move them across. So I'm just moving these 2 from the back, literally. Now I move them in the front, so they're gonna be knitted first. That's why it's cable 4 to the front, because it means that these 2 stitches are going to remain in the front, and then I'm knitting the other 2 first. So just knit these 2 and then the next 2. I just swapped the places, basically. That's all I'm doing. I'm just swapping the stitches around. I've done that one. The next one will be a cable 2 through the back, which means the next 2 stitches must remain in the back of the work, and these 2 has to be worked first, so they need to swap places. So I'm gonna do the same. I'm just gonna release all 4 of them, pick these up, and they remain in the back of my work, and these 2 are coming in the front like this. I'll place them back on my needles, and I'm just going to work. I'm just going to knit them in this new order. So just knitted the first 2 and then the next 2. which it swapped places. And the next. Next I'm going to do the same like I've done with the first 4 stitches. So it's just a repeat. So these 2 will come in the front of the work. These 2 are going in the back, like this. They remain. If you find it easier, you can use a spare knitting needle or a cable needle as well. And they just swap places and just knit. 2 and another 2. And then next, again, we're gonna swap them around. This time, these 2 are going to the back, and these 2, the next 2, are coming in the front of the work. So I'll pick these ones and hold them back, and pick my second 2, like this, and swap them around, and they come in the front of the work, and just knit them. Another way of doing this, so I've just knitted my last one, and next I need to swap them again. After you've done at least a couple of repeats, the other way I'm doing this without have to rely so much on the actual pattern, on the written pattern, is I just look at these cells. Basically this is an open cell at the moment, so in order to get this effect I'm gonna have to close it. So to close it means I have to swap the stitches around, so these 2 plus these 2 will be worked in the front, and that will close my cell. So I'll swap them around like this. Basically this is what I need to do. It's like open new cells and close the previous ones. So we're opening a new cell here by separating these 4, and we're just closing the previous one from the previous repeat. This is the way I see the pattern. This is the way I visualize it. I just think it makes it easier. Knitted 2 plus 2, and then again I've closed half of my cell. This is like a cell here forming here, so I've closed half of it. Now I need to close the other half and open one between these 4, so I can continue with the pattern repeat. So to do that I need to bring these 2 in front of the work and take these 2 back like this. So I've separated them. Now I'm just twisting them around. And knit. And that's it. I've closed up the previous cell here. It's now like closed, and I'm opening here a new one, which will be more visible once we do the 3 rows. So I have here half of the cell started, and now I just need the other half, because every cell is formed by 4 stitches. So I'm picking these 2 up, I'm leaving these 2 behind like this, and now I'm just swooping them around, place them back on my working needle, and knit all 4. And I'll continue the same. Next I have to leave these 2, keep them behind, and bring these 2 forward to close up my cell again. They have to come here like this, only swapping around these stitches creates this effect. I knit them all. Again, I've opened half of a new honeycomb cell. They do look like honeycomb cells, so I need the other half now. I'm releasing 4 stitches, pick these 2 up, the first ones, and leave the 2 behind. They remain behind. Now I'm just gonna swapping them around, and these 2 are gonna be worked first through the back of the work, coming through the back, knit and knit all of them. Next, again, I have to close my cell, and here I'm gonna open a new one here. So once more I'll do my cables through the front, so these are coming like this, coming in the front of my work, so I can complete the closing of the cell like this. Now it's going to close. Knit and knit the ones I just swapped around. Again, I need to complete my little cell, and I need these 2 stitches through the back of the work. So pick these 2 and the other 2, swap them around. After a few repeats, it will be very, very, very easy. You're just not gonna need like the written pattern to follow it up. This is what I do. And I have reached the end of my row. Now all I need to do is close this last cell, so my last 4 stitches before the edge. I'm just gonna pick these up, and then these 2, and they come in the front, and knit all of them. And this swapping of cable, swapping of the stitches, creates this beautiful effect. Then we continue. Row number 5, it's identical to row number 1, which is slip the first one and purl all the stitches to the last one, which I'm going to knit just to form an edge here, a chained edge. So purl all the stitches. Now the pattern is going to even. Continue to purl all the way to the last, which I'm going to knit. Row number 5 is now complete. Next is row number 6, which is slip the first stitch and then knit all the stitches across. It's the same like row number 2. Just gonna knit all the stitches, and it's starting to form a new set of cells. For row number 7, on the wrong side of the work, identical to row number 1, slip the first one, purl, just purl all the stitches across to the last one, which I'm going to knit. Completed row number 7. Next is row number 8, and it's the last row of this pattern, forming this pattern. It's an 8 rows repeat pattern. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to slip the first stitch like this, and now the pattern says I have to cable 4 stitches to the back, which means the next 2 stitches, the first 2, are gonna have to stay behind the work, keep them in the back of the work, and work these 2 first. I thought to demonstrate this with, this is a cable needle, so just to make it, I'll demonstrate both ways. I find it easier to just swap them around, but I'm just gonna show this option as well. So I transfer my 2 stitches, I leave them in the back of the work, I work these 2 first, like this, and then I work the ones on the cable needle. You can tell I don't use it very often. So we have 2 options. We either work it straight from this needle or we transfer it back, which I'm going to do because this needle is thinner. So transfer them back and I'm gonna work them like this. Next, it's a 4 cable through the front. So my next 2 stitches are going to be kept in the front of the work, like that, on a separate needle. And I'm going to work these 2 stitches first. One and 2. And then these 2, which I kept at the front of the work, going back on the needle like this, and I'm gonna knit them next. And we repeat again. 4 cable to the back. So 1 is to the back, 1 to the front, 1 to the back, 1 to the front, which again means I pick up my 2 stitches, my next 2 stitches, leave them in the back of the work, knit my next 2, 1 and 2, and after that I need to knit the ones I left on the auxiliary needle, which I'm going to transfer back like this, and then knit them, 1 and 2. Next again it's a cable knit to the front, so my next 2 stitches, it's 1 in the back, 1 in the front, are staying in the front of the work, and knit the next 2. This needle is in my way. 1 and 2. Transfer these back like this, and I'm gonna work them next. And that's how we continue. Next is again 1 through the back of the work, so they remain in the back, knit 2, 1 and 2. It's exactly the same principle, we're just opening new cells and closing the previous ones. These going back on the needles, and continue to knit 1 and 2. Next again I have 1 cable or 4 cables to the front, which again means first 2 stitches remain in the front of the work, next 2 stitches have to be knitted first, and then them 2, they swap places. That's all there is with the cables. The stitches are swapping places, and I knit them, and once more in the back of the work, my next 2 stitches, I need the following 2, 1 and 2, and then back to my previous ones like this. And I'm just going to continue exactly the same way. Next one, it's once again one in the front, one twisting cable in the back, one in the front, one in the back. So I'm just gonna finish my row. Completed the row. That was row number 8, the last row repeat of the pattern. Now we're going back to row number 1, which means on the wrong side of the work. Just purl all of them, knit, purl, and then we have cables again, and few repeats, and your work is gonna look like this, similar to this. I think it's very pretty, this pattern. It's got a lovely texture, and it just it's suitable for any type of project, really. This was it for today. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I thank you very much for watching. If you liked my videos, please remember to give me a thumbs up and maybe subscribe to my channel just to support my work. Thank you very much again, and see you for the next tutorial.